My gosh.
So this guy is Polish. Who's this guy? Pulaski.
Pulaski is Polish, and you just go down the list here. De Grasse is French. Lafayette is French. You got von Steuben. Muhlenberg is the Pennsylvania German guy. He's the pastor.
Kosciuszko?
Kosciuszko. That is Kosciuszko, and he is Polish.
And brought us the couscous, which... No, he didn't.
I'm waiting on this one. See where you go with this.
Right.
But these are significant guys in the Revolution. And I mean, without
were some of these guys, were they traitors? I mean, as we're fighting the Prussians,
well, remember the
Prussians, Germans there, are we traitors?
He's on the outside of the German government. He's been kicked out because they accused him of being homosexual to get rid of him. So for him to come to work with us, they didn't want him anyway.
Okay.
So what you're talking now, the German people really liked Americans.
I mean, we were, just a couple of votes away from
having
our language, official language being German.
Yeah.
Oh,
but why did he get kicked out? He got kicked out because it's a Catholic court and he's a Protestant. Well, a Catholic court's not going to be real favorable toward a Protestant nation, which America was at the time. We had Catholics, a number of signers, so they're not allies with us. But he is. He comes, and same with Lafayette, the same with De Grasse, the same with so many others that came over.
Do you know, was there a group of immigrants, like, for instance, Pennsylvania was almost all German, if I'm not mistaken.
Nearly every colony was immigrants.
Right, but Pennsylvania was almost all German. Correct?
A lot of it.
A lot of it. I mean, it was huge German population.
Well, it had a huge German population, but remember, it was started by William Penn, an Englishman who brought Quakers with him out of England. It was started with 10,000 Quakers out of England.
But the majority of Germans that came ended up in Pennsylvania at that time.
So is there any place, or was there any group of foreigners that
did not
really that went in and said, we're really in with George Washington? For instance, there's that one Indian tribe up in
Cuba.
New York State.
Hispanics in Cuba did. I mean, in Cuba, you had the women in Cuba, Hispanic women, taking and raising money and sending it to George Washington. Hispanics out of Cuba, and also remember Spain owned Florida at the time. You had the Spanish governor of Florida, a Hispanic guy, going in and helping Washington fight in the southern wars down there. So you had much in the way.
How is that not a story? I have been looking for. Remember, you'll know this, David. No, most people won't. I can't remember the name of the Hispanic guy that was made into a series by Walt Disney.
El Fuego Baca.
Yes,
El
Baca.
Fuego Baca.
Great story until you look into it, and then you see how Disneyfied that story
is.
It is
a Disney story.
That's not really the way that story went down. But trying to find real important Hispanic founders and Hispanics playing a role in America, that's not easy to find. And
it's like
when I ask you, and you immediately say, "Well, Cubans."
Also the governor of Guatemala, and you had officials from Mexico City who also sent troops and funding up. In fact, when Cornwallis gets bottled up in Yorktown, it was the Spanish that pushed up through Florida and Georgia, pushing the British troops north towards Yorktown when we won that victory.
Was that I hate the English, or was it I like these Americans?
Yes, that's
both.
right.
Okay.
You guys are fighting our enemy. We like you. We hate them.
That's the same thing with some of the Irish generals we had. The Irish really enjoyed fighting, and
20 of Washington's
generals.
Usually in bars.
20 of Washington's generals were Irish. So I mean, look again. Now these are kind of the foreign language speaking generals, but so much of the American Revolution.
But you look at the Irish again, and the Irish are probably much more I hate the English than I love America. I mean, they might have loved America as well.
Sure.
But they
did. Because you got positive contributions of them. I mean, so many of the Irish generals were really contributors to us, not just militarily, but after the war as well. And so they did love America, and they did not like Great Britain. I mean, you had freedom and liberty here, you didn't over here, and so both things drove them.
Okay. What else do you have?
Well, talking about some of these guys, I've never seen one of these before. Mercury One just got it. That is a document actually signed by Rochambeau. And Rochambeau is one of Washington's generals. And you can see the language here, French. etc. But I've never had an opportunity to have one of these.
Is this infantry? Is this discharge? Is this?
Well, you read it and tell me.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't know. It's French, but I know it's got his signature, so we grabbed it.
Yeah, we need a couple of interns this summer that can
They'll take
translate
that.
it. We have that great piece from the Inquisition that we've never translated,
Yep.
and that's in Spanish, right?
Yes, it
And
is.
we just need somebody who can really translate.
And going below the level of that, let me take you down into some of the diversity of the American Revolution that we never get out of textbooks today. This one here, you'll know this one, Glenn.
Yeah.
You know, the hero here,
Yeah.
Peter Salem, Black Patriot. Only document I've ever seen signed by Peter Salem. And again, this is a Mercury 1 document that we have.
It's not signed by him. It's
Yeah,
his mark.
X.
Yeah.
That's right. It's his X there with Peter Salem, where he.
I just love this where it says it's not signed by him, but whoever Blenny, no, because that's so whoever wrote this signed for these two because they both are signed with X's, but it says his mark and there's an X, and then somebody wrote Peter Salem.
Yeah. Well, they would have done it that way. Peter Salem, they put his mark because he was not writing.
Right.
So that's part of the way they originally wrote it. They would put his name and his mark, and that's what they did.
But he
contractually.
actually did the X.
But he did the X.
Yeah.
That's his X on it. And so they would say, look, sign the document here, put your X there. And that's making his mark, literally. That's where they come up with the phrase
How
making your
literate
mark.
was the average population?
John Adams said in America back then, it was easier to find a comet in the sky than to find an illiterate person.
Wow. Wow, have we gone backwards?
Well, in the last 15 years, 19% of all high school graduates have been 100% illiterate. 19% for the last 15 years.
There's no way to survive this.
Not like that. Not like that. There are things that'll turn it around because the Middle Ages was built on illiteracy.
I was
The
reading
Reformation
something-
turns it back.
I was reading something this week about the number of kids that are now on ADHD medication and everything else, and the hubris of our educational programs that say, 65%. This I think is in England. 65% of students are on some sort of medication for that, and to think that you would say, it must be the kids. It can't be our education system. It can't. Suddenly we have to have 65% of our kids on some sort of medication so they'll sit through this, instead of saying, maybe this whole thing is designed wrong.
Do you know, in the last year, there have been 2 significant studies, and they do not get covered in the educational world because it would mean reforming education.
Yeah.
What they have found, a school district adopted this as a plan, and their ADHD prescriptions have gone almost to zero. They gave the kids more time at recess and asked them to do physical things at recess. And so more time. The other that you find is that kids who do things that give them core strength, in other words, horseback riding used to do that, because horseback riding, when you get strength in the
You
core,
gotta stabilize yourself.
you learn how to stabilize yourself. When you get strength in the core, ADHD goes away. And both of those studies, done separately, and they've now actually been implemented to show that there are results. When you actually give more time to be physical, and you can't touch, and we don't want to do the physical stuff. When you do physical stuff, which Bible says 6 days shalt thou work, we used to believe in working. When you do physical stuff, the mental stuff comes right along with it.
Okay.
One more here. This I've never seen one of these. This is Seth Warner. Seth Warner is a colonel in the American Revolution, battled Bennington. This is the
First
big
guy
monument
to
there.
install cable in colonial houses too.
That's right.
Mr.
Warner Cable. That's right. You got Warner
No,
Cable?
not at all.
Not at all. He was part of the Green Mountain Boys. By the way, do you know what the Green Mountain Boys were?
No.
Ethan Allen Green Mountain Boys.
I mean, I've heard of them, but I couldn't tell you.
You know who their biggest enemy was?
No.
Wasn't the British. It was New York. Vermont wanted to be independent from New York, and the Green Mountain Boys were taking on New York. And so when
I think everybody could still back that.
That's right. He didn't like New York values, right?
Right.
So Seth, this is an Indian who served with Seth Warner's regiment in the American Revolution. So we've got blacks here. Here's a pay voucher for part of the Connecticut line, black soldier in the Connecticut line. That's Indian soldier in Connecticut line, or Indian soldier with Seth Warner up in Vermont. We've got all these foreign generals. I mean, America was just loaded up with this. And if you read the Declaration of Independence, one of the reasons given for why we separated from Great Britain was the king won't let us have immigration. He's shutting down our immigration. And that's one of the reasons given as the 27 in the Declaration for why we separated from Great Britain. But
See, I will tell you, I still think that this is spun so far out of control. I still believe that most Americans want great immigrants
Here's the deal.
here. I know.
You hit it. This is the
So
deal.
let's take a break and come back to that, because we want good new blood here in America.
Yes.
We just want somebody that is as excited and wants to go back and quite honestly, teach us about this.